How did it feel to win your show? I haven't talked to you, but we haven't talked about it. I mean, we've talked about it, but we haven't talked about it.
Yeah. Phew, that was a that was a whirlwind, man. Um, you know what was odd about it? I didn't really process the fact that I was out of the show when I was in hospital because it was a case of like, fuck, like fix me, you know?
Yeah.
So I wasn't worried about, oh, this sucks. There's no disappointment. It was just a case of like, you need to fix this shit. And obviously I ate like a fucking arsehole in hospital.
I told you not to do that. You lied to me. You're like, oh, I only had one meal.
I did. That was on the first day. And
Yeah.
then the second day, I was after I spoke to you. Then the wheels came off because then Denise brought in the food. At that point, I then resigned to I wasn't competing, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, so I'm all the way out now. Denise bought me like this big fucking cooler of like chicken and beef and rice. So I was eating a meal of whatever I could fit in the bowl every hour, and then I was ordering DoorDash every other hour, and I was just alternating between the two.
Yeah.
But it was weird, like, and it's actually, you know what, it was Hostile's fault or your fault that I stayed in shape, kind of, because on the Monday, because I had the photo shoot on Friday, right?
Yeah.
So I actually kind of went back on, when I got home, I went kind of back on diet. And then I woke up Thursday morning and we were literally loading the truck because Denise was working the tan down in Houston. And I took a check-in video for Patrick and I didn't look terrible. I mean, I was down to 253, I think. And I showed it to Denise. I said, look, I don't care if I win or lose or come last. Look at the video and tell me if I look better than when I got on stage last year.
Yeah.
And she said, you don't look as good as you did last week, obviously. She said, you look way better than last year. I went, fuck it, that's all I care about. As long as I look better than last year, I just spent the last 20 weeks and nearly fucking put my trunks in, put tan on me. I won't like do anything funky. I'll just walk on stage. And as long as I look better, I'll shut it down after that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened. And then we kind of got a little excited. We started manipulating sodium. So I got in the car and I just started pounding water, like fucking guzzling. Which was like a 6-hour journey turned into like an 8-hour trip because I was stopping every 20 minutes to piss. But we bumped my sodium through the roof, put my water through the roof on the Thursday and the Friday, and then basically just tapered water down over Friday night. So I just kept peeing and drying out, and I looked good enough to win, apparently. So it turned into something pretty cool. And then when I got off stage is when, so I won the overall and then got off stage. And that picture I have where I'm hugging Denise, which is the best picture I've ever, like, I love that picture so much. Just like, I'm gonna have that framed and mounted. But I literally broke, I told you this, I think I literally went into her shoulder and then I just started sobbing, like ugly fucking crying,
like
to the point. To the point where I was like hyperventilating. I actually had to lay down. I was like, the girls were like fanning me down for like 10, 15 minutes. I was pouring sweat. It was just like a culmination. I think because I hadn't dealt with I'm out of the show and I've let everyone down. I hadn't even thought about that. And then I walked off stage and then the realization of what I'd just done, plus it all just fucking hit me.
I don't think people understand that. So for a lot of people watching, sorry, before we go on, hi Nathan, how are you?
Hey, buddy, not too bad. Just fucking got in now from your photo shoot.
That's good. I hope it went well.
Yeah, not too good. I make shit look good, you know. Make shit look good.
So, anyways, I don't think people realize. So a lot of people would be like, "Well, it's not the Arnold, it's not the Olympia. Why were you crying?" But I think once you've been through so much shit, it doesn't matter how big or small the show is. Because like I don't. Even though you tell people, I don't think people understand the amount of suffering and shit you went, like 1,500 calories a day and then being sick for 3 weeks or 4 weeks and then being in the hospital and then getting out and then all of a sudden getting on stage. It's just a lot of fucking emotional shit.
Yeah. And I'd put Denise through hell for a year, basically. I went and she'll tell you, like, on the surface, we have like this very functional, happy family.
Yeah.
Fuck, that girl put up with so much shit. It was just me being selfish. You know? Not like actual shit. We didn't argue. She just put up with me doing what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And when I went into the hospital, I didn't think about this at the time, but when I got off stage, I was like, God, it nearly wasn't worth any of it. Like there was nearly nothing to show for it, right?
What do you mean? Why? I thought it was worth it because you won.
No, I'm saying it nearly wasn't.
Nearly wasn't. Yeah. Had you not?
Yeah, it nearly wasn't. It nearly was just a complete fucking waste of time in a way, because there was no end result.
No finish.
I got to a week out and then pulled out.
Yeah.
And so the fact that when I hugged her and I was kind of like, it was worth it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I went, it was worth it, I just fucking lost it. Like, yeah, because I've neglected my son, I've neglected her, not terribly, but just if I wasn't competing, I would have been much more present, you know?
You know, that feeling of elation, I think you can't get unless, like Nathan, you went through it on stage. You have that picture of you crying on stage.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, because I used to have those moments. For me, it would usually happen after prejudging. I would get back to my room after prejudging, and it would just be like this release of fucking emotions. But I don't think you can get that feeling unless you've put everything on the line. Like, you have to put it all on the line for a certain amount of time or a certain amount of weeks or months or whatever before you can actually understand what Ben's talking about or what Nathan went through or whatever.
You know, I think I might have said this to you. I certainly said it to Denise. And I'm an average amateur bodybuilder, right? But I said to her, I think right at the start, I said, I'm treating this like it's an Olympia for me. It's my Olympia.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I had Patrick. Patrick was the first time we were doing the show, so I felt like I had to validate him as I had to prove a point. I was trying to, show that if you really locked in, even with shitty genetics like mine, you can make good progress.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was determined that, hey, like, there's people watching, there's people invested in this. Don't half-ass it. Go fucking all the way or don't bother. Yeah. And so I treated it like that. And so that's what was so tough at the end. And that's where I think I had that, like you're talking about, where you're so invested in it. It means so much. And it might seem silly because it was just a regional show or whatever, but fuck, to me, I'd pinned the last 10 months. That was my only thought from when I woke up to when I went to bed. That was just all I was focused on. And everything else came second.
I've had this conversation with other people. I used to have friends that would look at other people competing, of like my other friends that were still amateurs, and they would say, why is that guy trying so hard? It's not like it's the fucking Olympia. It's just a local show. And I'm like, I would always tell people, it doesn't really matter if it's your first show or if it's the fucking Olympia. I mean, obviously there's difference as a pro because there's money and things like that come with it. But as far as like the effort that's put in to actually get on stage, if you're going all in, there's no difference if it's your first show or your last show, or like you're a pro or an amateur, you're still putting that same effort. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share with your friends, and like the video. And if you get a chance, check out the description for all the different links to all the different places you can find Hostile and myself. And lastly, check out hostile.com for our new line of supplements and all of our apparel and gear. Thanks again for watching.